Welcome to Chinese Novel Audiobook. DanMachi. The Strongest Familia in Orario. Chapter 1 The Labyrinth City Orario. The Labyrinth City Orario, the city where the dungeon is located, the place where the gods gather. The city is surrounded by strong and huge walls, and all races live together. Under the blessing of the gods, a large number of families have jointly achieved the prosperity of the city. At the same time, in the courtyard of a luxurious villa, a man who seemed to be shining all over his body was enjoying the midday sun with his eyes squinted. Yeah, it's been a long time since I saw the main body, how have you been doing recently? Some dull voices sounded from the man's mind, and the man opened his eyes helplessly. Damn, I was already falling asleep. Who is so annoying? This is a private domain. Why do strange voices appear in the private domain? The man who opened his eyes looked around in confusion, but naturally found nothing. The surroundings are still familiar, and there is no shadow of a stranger. I'm sleepy and confused, the main body. Saul is a man's name, and the original name has long been forgotten over time. His true identity is a time traveler, and he obtained the template of the star-forging Dragon King while traveling. In this strange world, Thor chose to continue to use the name of the star-forging Dragon King. Saul didn't know where the world he was in was at all, he only knew that the place where he descended was the god realm of this world. Because of the template of the star-casting Dragon King, although he was not familiar with the place, his divine power was genuine, and he settled down in the god realm smoothly. Thor even made up a Stan identity for himself, and a whole bunch of backstory to deal with trouble. In the end, he found that all these so-called gods were liars, and they were not interested in their identities at all after living for hundreds of millions of years. Those lazy gods welcomed their arrival, but this enthusiasm only lasted for a few decades. After merging into these local gods, after understanding, Saul also mastered a lot of information. For example, the gods of this world are immortal. This is immortality in the true sense, even if the gods want to die, they can't do it, so they don't care about most things. In order to pass the boring time, the things these gods do the most are sleep, hold meetings, and have impact. Thor had the good fortune to attend a few times, under the influence of the Aurelion template. It didn't take long for him to win the title of the strongest male god in the god realm. It's just that after Saul passed his 200th birthday, he gradually lost interest in other things. Even if it is a goddess, he will soon get tired of only those few faces tossed and turned every day. The bad days fly by quickly, and Saul basically sleeps through the days. Of course, his strength is still getting stronger and stronger with the precipitation of time, but it's a pity that there are very few opportunities to make a move in the god realm. As for those idle and boring logicians, none of them have been beaten by him. Anyway, if you hit him, you won't die, and you don't need to keep your hands. It is simply a perfect sandbag. Until one day, God discovered a way to go to the world. The god realm, which had been silent for hundreds of millions of years, boiled instantly. After formulating a series of rules at the god assembly, the gods couldn't wait to break into the human world. The era of the family has kicked off, and it has also brought new impetus to the world. As the protagonist of this work, Saul missed the opportunity to enter the human world for the first time because of sleeping to kill time. In order to seize the resources of the lower realm, these gods would not kindly take Saul as a competitor. After the first batch of gods descended to the realm, before a goddess prepared to descend to the realm, she woke up the other party from her sleep because of her relationship with Saul, who shared the same bed hundreds of years ago. For this, Saul owed her a big favor. That goddess's name is Astoria, one of Thor's favorite goddesses. Although they came to the lower realm smoothly, they were a step too late after all. Most of the races in the lower realm had excellent seedlings who had already been selected by those who came first. The disparity among the family members gradually became apparent, and Saul, who came late, naturally focused on other races. Haven't eaten pork, haven't seen a pig running. Saul, who knows a lot about the different world, first set his sights on the elves. Fortunately, the elves in this world hide relatively well, otherwise it would not be their turn. In short, Saul, who has formed a family team among the elves, finally has the qualifications to participate in the game. Until now, it has been 5 or 6 years since he left the god realm and developed in a low-key manner, and there is basically nothing for him to worry about in the daily development of the family. The era of Zeus and Hera's duo has passed, and now Eulalie is in charge of the Loki family and the Freya family. As for the Sol family, because they are taking the elite route, there are not many members of the family. With Riveria Rios Alf, whose paper level is LV5 and real level 55-6, as the head of the family, there are a total of 20 members, 10 at LV2, 7 at LV3, and 3 at LV4. All of these 20 people are elves, who were abducted by Sol in Alfred King's forest. After Sol's training, all these elves are good at using magic. Although the gods are restricted from using divine power in the lower world, some of the gods' own skills can still be used. For example, Jianyu Lei Shen's martial arts, Hephaestus' forging skills, Sumo's divine wine. Aurelion can theoretically master all of Roland's knowledge. But the current Roland continent is full of invisible things, and what he can teach is magic. For example, Riveria is learning rune magic. It is true that there are not many Sol family members in him, but in the current Orario family, they are definitely the first echelon family members. It is no exaggeration to say that among all Orari's magisters, his family is the most excellent. Riveria even vaguely has the title of Eulalie's strongest magister. Who let the Zeus family and the Hera family be wiped out during the crusade against the Black Dragon. Now Eulalie's fighting power is more than weaker than before. Of course, when Zeus and Hera were still there, the geniuses who came to Orario would basically be collected by these two families, and other gods could only pan for gold from the leftovers picked by others. It is impossible for you to say that other family members have no objections. Finally, these two big bosses disappeared, and the dark faction became active again. As a result, there have been fewer people coming to Eulalie recently. Where do you go to recruit people? If no newcomers come, the entire Eulalie family will stop playing. Chapter 2 Roland. The peace of Orario was disturbed, and the fate of the Dark Familia was doomed from the very beginning. Fortunately, I still have 20 members, and Sol has concealed Riveria's level. Except for the necessary expeditions, complex tasks rarely fall on the head of his family. Once there is a LV6 in the family, the guild's requirements for them will be different. The poor ones are those family members who rely on crowd tactics, and the rations of the family members alone are a huge expense every day. It is also weak in individual strength, and it is simply the best target for those dark factions. It is often heard that a member of the family was attacked, and even the headquarters of the family was directly ransacked by the dark faction. Even in the city of Eulalie, it is not very safe. The whole Eulalie is now in panic. Just in case, Sol has issued an order to reduce the number of times the family members go out. Anyway, he has a small family, and Sol, who had the attribute of Tuntun Rat in his previous life, prepared sufficient supplies for the family. Even if he didn't go out, he could persist for a long time. You know, the elves under him are the first choice for those bad guys. You can't let these little babies of yours be hustled by the villains of the dark faction. Thor prefers to nip danger in its infancy than revenge afterwards. In the yard, Sol has closed his eyes again. But this time he wasn't sleeping, he was communicating with the voice in his head. According to the rules set by the Shenhui, all gods are not allowed to use divine power in the lower realm, otherwise they will be sent back to the heavenly realm directly. In order to take advantage of the rules, Thor created a parallel consciousness for himself to use divine power. To introduce it in scientific terms, he wrote an artificial intelligence for himself to deal with the business that he is not convenient to come forward to. And the reason for creating this parallel consciousness is to obtain the dependence of excellent. At the beginning, he couldn't find excellence dependence, and Sol, who was in a hurry, had a flash of inspiration. Since I can't find good children in this world, then I will create a world to cultivate myself. As an existence who inherited the power of the star-forging Dragon King, Thor has the godhood of the creator god. It's just that he is only a child of a few thousand years old after all, and his divine power is limited, and he can only create the world step by step. As for the world he created, he naturally chose the original world of the forging star Dragon King, Valoran. Thor, who had already lost his habit in the god realm, directly took the opportunity to hand over this task to his parallel consciousness. Creating a world is not a simple matter, and my parallel consciousness has not echoed for so many years. If it weren't for the constant deduction of divine power, he even thought that the parallel consciousness had learned to be lazy just like him. It's been a few years, and it's finally alive. Have you completed the mission assigned to you? The Valoran continent has been preliminarily constructed, and the current progress is 5%. Only 5%. Are you being lazy? That's right. Aurelion. Don't you think things like creating the world are too simple? You yell at me. A mere juxtaposition of awareness. When talking to the subject, it is really not polite at all. Saul, who closed his eyes in reality, shrank his neck. Sorry. Saul chose Kongshin. What is there to be angry with yourself? How can you be picky and picky here because you are so bad every day? You have to know that everything is difficult at the beginning. Now that the whole framework is set up, the progress will be faster in the future. Parallel consciousness still explained. Then when can I summon the children of Valoran? You can do it now, but you can only summon one. Hey, can you choose whatever you want? Soul's eyes lit up. There are countless powerful heroes in Valoran, such as Bard, Ornn, Soraka, etc. If they are summoned, they will be their own family members. Control Olali every minute. No, I just finished creating Bandle City, and you can randomly summon a Yordle. Yordles. Soul's interest suddenly lost more than half, but he soon cheered up again. The Yordles are also quite good, at least they are excellent than most of the adventurers in Orario now. In other words, it would be good to summon Nar, Bobby, Kled and the like, as Thor's family is in short supply of these family members who can serve as the front row. After all, it is a family mainly composed of elves, and there are basically no warriors in the family. Finding a damage-resistant elven meat shield is more difficult than finding a mage among the dwarves. This also led to most of the Saul family members choosing to cooperate with other family members during the expedition. Or Vigar would be nice too. In the place of Olali, there are countless monsters in the dungeon that allow him to stack Q. Saul fantasized about sweet dreams in his heart. Successful summoning, the summoning object is the fairy witch Lulu. I have hinted so much, you really don't like oil and salt. Don't give me any face. Lulu is calling, the main body, pay attention to your image, don't leave a bad first impression on the other party. The juxtaposed consciousness ignored Soul's thoughts, and directly blocked his mouth with one sentence. Thinking about it in another direction, Vigar's abilities are likely to be targeted by people as belonging to the dark faction. Isn't calling Vigar here at this time to cause trouble for himself, Lulu is definitely the best choice. Saul accepted the suggestion of parallel consciousness graciously. There were no gorgeous special effects, only a distorted space appeared in front of Saul, and a witch had emerged from the distorted space first. Immediately afterwards, a small man about 1 meter tall poked his head out curiously, holding a staff almost as tall as himself in his hand. Surrounding the opponent is a smaller figure, almost the size of a palm, like an elf in a fairy tale. This is Lulu's fairy sidekick, Pixar. After seeing Saul, there was a sense of intimacy on the other side. Lulu guessed Soul's identity in an instant, and looked at him with wide eyes full of curiosity. Could it be that you are the god of creation? You can just call me Saul, lovely boy. In front of his future family, Saul tried his best to put on the air of the main god. Looking at Lulu with a gentle expression, the excitement on his face could not be concealed. After living with those lazy gods for so many years, he has long since stopped paying attention to etiquette. The gods of this world are very tolerant to the people of the lower realm, and they are very casual in their lives. The sudden majesty he had to show was somewhat difficult for himself. Fortunately, this cute little Yordle witch is not so thoughtful, looking at Saul with admiration on his face. Please let me join your family, Sir Saul. Chapter 3 Lulu. Please let me join your family, Lord Saul. Lulu asked actively. Before crossing over, Soul's juxtaposed consciousness had already told her the rules of the family. To be able to join the family of the god of creation is a wish that can only be realized in a dream. Of course, all my children can join the Saul Familia. Saul naturally wouldn't refuse this request. Isn't that why he spent so much power creating a new world? Reaching out to hold Lulu's little hand, the height difference between the two makes them look like a strange pair of father and daughter. Go, I'll take you to the lounge to engrave favor. Excitedly ran out of the yard, at the junction of the room and the yard, happened to bump into a female elf. The other party has emerald green long hair, which is the symbol of the royal family of elves. It was Rivria who came, and the spatial fluctuations that occurred in the yard earlier could not be hidden from the strongest magister of Olali. After seeing Saul safe and sound, Rivria was visibly relieved. Master Thor, who is this child? Originally, she was going to ask Saul about what happened in the yard, but Lulu, who was being held by his hand, caught her attention instantly. As the head of the Saul family, Rivria remembered everyone in the family. Absolutely not the one Saul is holding in his hand. Although Lulu wears a witch hat on her head, it does not conceal her height. Lowly, is it a little human? Preferably a little human. Otherwise, Rivria will have to consider whether to escort her Lord God to Lord Astria to accept sanctions. Nah, Rivria-chan, don't look at me with trashy eyes, it's too hurtful. Who is this child? My name is Lulu, I'm not a child. Lulu quickly refuted Rivria's words and stared at her seriously, but there was no way to make people feel her anger. It seems to be very concerned about the name of the child. Really? Rivria raised her eyebrows unexpectedly. I didn't expect this child to talk to himself in such a tone. You must know that because of the relationship between the elves and the royal family, the members of the family are respectful when facing themselves. Of course Rivria hated this sense of distance from the family members. On the contrary, it was Lulu's unobtrusive way that made her very useful. It's just that she didn't take Lulu's words to heart. Even if it was a small human race, there was no comparison in age with her elf royal family. Then, Master Saul, what are you going to do with Lulu, can you tell me about it? Kneeling down and gently rubbing Lulu's little head, she raised her head slightly, and her sharp eyes swept over Saul. What's going on? I feel that today's Rivria is extraordinarily majestic. The way she looked at herself was really like looking at kitchen waste. Anyway, he is also a god, and Saul thinks that his ability to perceive words and emotions is quite good. She must have misunderstood something, right? Don't think I'm so nasty. Don't tell me you can't trust me, Rivria-chan. Woo. It's because I know Master Saul that I ask this question. Although her mouth was merciless, Rivria still chose to believe in the other party. According to her understanding, although her Lord Shangshan is obsessed with beauty, she is still quite picky about food. He should like the sexy and mature kind. The crux of the matter, however, is where the child came from. If I remember correctly, Saul should have been basking in the sun alone in the yard before. The question still existed, but Rivria didn't ask any more. Although usually very inconspicuous, when it comes to the choice of family members, Rivria trusts them very much. There is a room dedicated to engraving gifts in the family residence, which is next to the living room on the bottom floor of the residence. Holding Lulu's little hand, the other party looked at the layout of the room curiously. When passing by the living room, almost all the members of the family were chatting and having fun here, and the atmosphere was very enthusiastic. After Saul came in, everyone looked over, especially after seeing Lulu, the way they looked at themselves changed. How should I put it? Half of it is disgusting, half of it is playful, and a small part of it is not too big to watch the excitement. Don't get me wrong. Fortunately, Rivria, who was following behind, helped out, and Saul immediately quickened his pace and brought Lulu into the room where the gift was engraved. The decoration in the room is very simple. Outside a large bed covered with white sheets, there is a gorgeously decorated box on the bedside table, with a stack of parchment under the box. Inside the box was a silver needle. Take off your clothes and lie here. Saul patted on the bed lightly, and said casually. Hey, you want to take off your clothes? Hearing such a straightforward request, Lulu, who was already several hundred years old, took 2 steps back worriedly. Ah, don't worry, what I like is a mature body. Seeing Lulu's embarrassment, Saul waved his hand indifferently. Her worries are completely unnecessary. There are so many tall and beautiful elves in my family, and Lulu's barren figure of more than 1 meter tall is not comparable at all. Lulu wasn't on his recipe at all. Why is it like this? Saul was so frank, but Lulu was hit hard. Obviously, he is quite popular in Bandle City. This is the gap between different races. Although there was a little dissatisfaction in her heart, after Saul's interruption, Lulu's mood relaxed a lot. Following the other party's instructions, she lay down on the bed, her little face buried in the pillow. Pulling out the sharp silver needle, poking lightly on the pad of the ring finger, a drop of shimmering divine blood slowly fell from a height. The grace of the gods is the gods who use their own blood as a medium to activate the potential of the other party and engrave the grace into the body of the family members. To engrave favor, only a drop of divine blood is enough. The divine blood melted instantly after touching Lulu's skin, and the complex sacred characters appeared on Lulu's back shining brightly. A Lulua. LV1. Strength. I0. Durability. I0. Dexterity. I0. Agility. I0. Magic. I0. A Magica. Shining Spear. A summons a piercing missile. All enemies hit will be slowed down, and the reduction will continue for 2 seconds. A can be superimposed. Opening square bracket closing square bracket comma opening square bracket closing square bracket. A Skilla. Fairy Witch. A Magical Effect Amplification. A significantly increased magic power. A increase mana recovery speed. Fairy Friend. Pixar. Pixar will follow Lulu's lead. A in the following state, Pixar will share magic, skills, and magic power with the follower. L. Chapter 4 Yordles. Looking at the densely packed words, Lulu's petite back almost couldn't write. It is a good thing to have more words. Although skills and magic cannot fully represent personal talents, having them is better than having none. As long as it is not debuff, there is no problem. Overall, Lulu's abilities are absolutely excellent. Whether it's the 3 magic bars or the 2 skills she was born with, all of them prove her powerful talent. The skills of Fairy Witch can only be said to be good, after all, the straightforward introduction of enhancing magic power and magic effects. For the Magic Mage, it is a priceless effect. The introduction of the second skill is somewhat general, but it can be regarded as Pixar's own ability. Don't look at Pixar following Lulu every day, but he is a single individual. It's just that it's not easy to get favors. Fairies are unselectable existences in this world. However, it is also good to be more general, just like Belle's heroic wish, only things that cannot be explained by grace can produce miracles. The only regret is that I didn't see Lulu's other 2 abnormal skills. Whether it's turning into a sheep or getting bigger quickly, which one is not better than the Shining Spear? It is estimated that these will not be awakened until Lulu's level is improved. Okay, it's over. He took out a blank parchment and pasted it on Lulu's back, and the original sacred text was immediately engraved on the parchment. Lulu quickly got dressed, her little face was still flushed. After successfully adding a boon to Lulu, Saul took Lulu out of the room. A lot of people had already gathered outside the door. For the addition of new companions, members of the Saul family were very interested in Lulu. Saul simply handed Lulu over to their care. It's just enough for them to get acquainted quickly, and then take Lulu to get acquainted with the specific situation of the family resident in Orario, and go to the guild to register the adventurer information. This is a process that new family members must go through. However, it can be handed over to other members of the family to help deal with it. Unlike the protagonist Belle in the future, he can only rely on himself for everything, and he can't even afford a novice equipment. The atmosphere in Soul's family is still very friendly. After all, people with ulterior motives can't get into his eyes. In addition, the family members are all members of the elves, and Rivalia, the elf royal family, manages it. None of those nasty power struggles. Naturally, the dedicated work of Rivalia, the team leader, is indispensable. Satisfied to see the family members surrounded Lulu and left. In the living room, Saul had just sat down on the sofa, and before he could lie down, there was a knock on the door. Rivalia walked in with a blank expression. Saul's eyes lit up, and he waved to his head with a smile. Sighing helplessly, Rivalia came over and sat down next to Saul. I saw Saul looking at him pitifully, and stretched out the finger that was bleeding when he bestowed the gift earlier. Don't make trouble, Lord Shangshan, I have something serious to tell you. Rivalia rolled her eyes helplessly, but still blew lightly on the opponent's fingertips. It's like coaxing a child. Rivalia Chan actually used an honorific title to me, sure enough there is already an invisible barrier between us. Whoa. You are really, please don't make fun of me, Sir Saul. After all, Rivalia couldn't hold back any longer, her delicate face was covered with a blush, and her voice also rose. He obviously feels that his energy-raising skills are very good, but he is still eaten to death by his own god. He can always let himself break through in a few words. Haha, Rivalia is always so funny. The elves in this world are very fancy about their innocence, let alone a royal family like Riveria. When he was poor and white in the lower realm, he was able to trick the other party, by Fume, into the family, not because of his own man's charm. Take it directly, how to say it, take it directly. Thor was able to live so comfortably in the lower realm, and Riveria's delicious soft rice definitely contributed a lot. He didn't feel guilty about molesting his head at all, and even went ahead and lay down on the sofa, carelessly resting his head on Riveria's smooth thigh. Faced with Saul's flowing movements, Riveria used her hands to gently massage the opponent's head. Seeing the action seems to be used to it. So, why did Riveria come to see me? The child named Lulu has already joined the family. I want to know about her situation. Is she a little human? Riveria asked curiously, and the movement of massaging her hands didn't stop. Although she wears a tall witch hat on her head, Lulu's height and figure are there. It is not surprising to be misunderstood as a small human race. However, even in the small human race, Lulu's size can only be regarded as a child. Haha, Lulu is not an existence that can be compared with the small people. Oh, sounds like an amazing role. Of course. Saul had a smug look on his face. So you are not going to explain it to me? Or do you want to keep it a secret from me, the head of the family? Riveria put a little more strength in her hands, and there was a burst of obvious pressure on her head. Although this elf is a mage, he is also a LV6 mage. Base strength is no joke. Don't make trouble, don't make trouble. I didn't want to give you a surprise. For the sake of his own safety, Saul wisely chose to give up. Lulu is a Yordle, you can think of her as a rare race like fairies. Saul did not keep it a secret from Riveria, as she said, as the head of the team, he must understand the situation of the members. Otherwise, when fighting side by side in the future, Riveria will not be able to arrange each other. I have never heard of this race. That's why I said it is a rare race. It's normal that you haven't heard of it. After all, it is a race from the continent of Roland. If Riveria had heard of it, it would be a big problem. It's just that it's too troublesome to introduce these, so I won't explain them to the other party for the time being. Yordles are very strange existences, they are like the darlings of the world. Of course, you only need to know these things. Thor roughly explained the existence of the Yordles to Riveria, and seeing the surprised expression on the other side, Saul smiled triumphantly. After all, it is a world where gods exist, and Riveria has a strong ability to accept. So, that child. Lulu wasn't joking when she said she wasn't a child at first. Of course, strictly speaking, compared to Lulu, Riveria, you are still a girl. I thought the elves were already long-lived species, but I didn't expect a Yordle who transcended time to come. Sure enough, the world is still big, and she still has a lot to learn. I see, I will focus on training Lulu in the future. Don't worry too much, Lulu's talent is very strong, and it will be a matter of time before she grows up. Chapter 5 The Dragon God's Majesty. Don't worry too much, Lulu's talent is very strong, and it will be a matter of time before she grows up. Seeing Riveria's swearing look, Saul still let out a sigh of relief. The current situation of Olali is not good, and the head of the team seems to be under a lot of pressure. It is still a period when the dark faction is active, and the appearance of a dazzling genius may not be a good thing. Those unscrupulous guys who are good at killing geniuses in their cradles. It is not so easy to pull them out of the darkness. Forget it, the dark faction has not had a good life for a few days. My family is still standing in a chaotic and neutral team. Under normal circumstances, neither side will come to provoke me. It didn't take much time to visit the family's resident, and the group came back quickly. Seeing their bright smiling faces, they should get along very well. Master Saul. We want to take Lulu-chan to the guild to register the adventurer's information. Saul issued a ban on going out in the family before, and if he wants to go out, he must first ask for instructions. Lifting Sol's head still resting on her lap, Riveria simply tidied up her clothes. Since Saul has already said that Lulu is the future of the family, she naturally needs to pay more attention. I haven't had time to introduce myself yet. I'm Riveria, the leader of the Saul family, please give me your advice. Riveria squatted down, so that her eyes were basically at the same level as Lulu. I'm Lulu, please give me your advice. Lulu tiptoed slightly, holding her little head high. Owlery is not stable recently, let me take Lulu to the guild to register. Riveria said without any malice. This is a helpless fact, not to take special care of Lulu. In this special period, someone else, Riveria, would bring it to the guild herself. Be careful all the way, Saul, who was lying on the sofa, just waved his hand. Riveria, I want to taste that. On the way to the guild, Lulu suddenly grabbed Riveria's cuff. Out of the consideration of taking Lulu to get acquainted with Orario, Riveria chose the route with the most people. In the current world, places with many people are more or less safer. The dark and uninhabited alleys have become a hunting paradise for dark factions. Of course, a place with a lot of people means it is more lively, and there are also a lot of hawkers on the street. Lulu can't stand her lonely character, and in the bustling downtown area, anything can arouse her interest. Especially those food stalls shrouded in white mist, the tangy aroma made the little witch from Bandle City swallow hard. Although Saul said that Lulu was older than himself, the other party's size and personality couldn't make Riveria feel this way. Unable to resist Lulu's acting like a baby, Riveria could only take out her small coffers and buy some snacks for her. It's not as delicious as I expected. The food in hand quickly lost Lulu's favor. That has to be eaten. It's not advisable to waste food. Riveria's mother attribute was activated. The stern look made Lulu calm down immediately. But only for a moment. The new snack instantly caught her eye. Look into those big watery eyes. For the first time, Riveria felt that the distance between her family's residence and the guild was so far away. This period of time is extremely difficult. However, after all, I saw the guild building. There are a steady stream of adventurers coming in and out at the entrance of the guild hall. Of course, these are basically LV1 and LV2. After Riveria appeared, the dense crowd consciously branched out into an aisle. Hey, look at that elf, isn't that Riveria from the Saul family? You can't be wrong, it's the Magi of the Dragon God. I heard that her magic is super strong. Olili's strongest magister, she's so beautiful, and I heard she's from the elf royal family. Is the one next to her a new member of her family? It's so small. Could it be that she also came to the guild to deal with adventurers? Maybe it's a small human race. Damn it. If only I could join the Thor family. TCH, put away your petty thoughts, I don't even bother to expose you. There was a rustling whisper from the crowd on both sides. Although these sounds are small, they are still too obvious for Riveria, who is still super perceptual in LV6. Riveria still has a high reputation among adventurers. However, when the adventurer mentioned a certain title, Riveria's expression darkened instantly. Rivelia. What does Dragon God Mickey mean? With Pixar's tip-off, Lulu also heard some conversations. Riveria stopped in her tracks, gritted her teeth fiercely, and blushed a little more on her originally cold face. This damn title is a dark history of her life. After she was promoted to LV4, her unreliable god gave her such a shameful title from the God Assembly. He also said that he has worked hard to win it, and with the strength of their family, they should never be given such a title that is obviously a trick. Unless the god of his own family has worked hard to win such a title back. You shouldn't have listened to Saul's words like, leave everything to me, in the first place. Riveria has pinned her last hope on updating her title after revealing her LV6. It's nothing worth mentioning, and Lulu will have her own title in the future. Looking at Lulu's big eyes that revealed a desire for knowledge, Riveria tried her best to put aside the topic. Really? Then I must think of a super powerful title. The little witch was easily distracted by Riveria. The speaking room has already entered the guild. A female elf in overalls hurried up to greet her. Lord Riveria. Long time no see. The female elf's eyes twinkled with little stars, and she looked like a fanatical fan. Long time no see Arya. Riveria greeted with a light nod. At this time, she had calmed down her mood, and showed her usual majestic look. Arya is an adventurer consultant arranged by the guild to connect with members of Soul's family. Because the elves accounted for the majority of Soul's family, it would be more convenient for the same clan to communicate. I'm here this time to ask you to register the child's information. Okay, please follow me. With that said, Arya guided the two of them into a single room. As soon as the two of Riveria sat down, Arya put the brewed tea in front of them. Under normal circumstances, the level adventurer information can be in the window. But who made the Saul family strong? The strong always have some privileges. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Chapter 6 Adventurers Guild. Is this child a new member of Thor's family? Hello, I'm Arya. I'm Lulu. Also, I'm not a child. Lulu retorted dissatisfied. Okay, Miss Lulu, please come and register the information first. Arya had a kind smile on her face. While speaking, he took out a form from the folder he carried with him. The only name is Lulu. Right. Okay, Miss Lulu is a little human. Of course not. I'm Yoder. Lulu was about to retort when Riveria stopped her. Any questions? It's okay, just write the little people. Looking at the two suspiciously, but noticing the other's firm attitude, Arya silently lowered her head and filled the little people in the race column. Okay, so what is Miss Lulu's age? Arya already sensed that there was something wrong with Lulu's identity, and she was a little tentative when she asked. Age. Lulu doesn't know. As a Yordle who never ages, Lulu has no sense of time. Don't even pay attention to such trivial things as how old you are. Let's write 20. Riveria is still in charge. Okay. Soon, after filling out the basic information, Arya greeted the two of them and withdrew. After drinking a few sips of tea, an adventurer's certificate has been processed. Thanks for your hard work, Arya. If you have a chance, come to the Saul family and have tea with me. Thank you for your invitation, Lord Riveria. Hearing Riveria's invitation, Arya's eye sockets seemed to be on fire. Even the voice became louder for a while. Riveria smiled helplessly, she was used to this kind of respectful attitude. Just as she left the guild, Riveria took 2 steps, noticed that no one was following her, and turned her head in doubt. Quietly staring at Lulu who was still standing motionless. What does this little girl want to do again? A bad premonition emerged in Riveria's heart. Rivelia, let's go to the dungeon. Lulu's face was full of expectation. Well, this premonition has come true. If possible, she would rather her hunch not be accurate. She didn't get along with Lulu for a long time, but Riveria still felt a little bit of Lulu's character. Don't stay idle, and never give up until you reach your goal. To put it bluntly, he is a naughty bear. Judging by her appearance, she won't move if she doesn't agree with her. You can go, but we have to make an agreement. Only on the first 3 floors, let you get familiar with the atmosphere of the dungeon first. Yeah, Riveria is the best. Lulu cheered happily. The short legs ran so fast that Riveria almost couldn't catch up with him. In order to facilitate adventurers to exchange magic stones and materials, the entrance of the dungeon is not far from the guild. Looking at the dark cave, Lulu rushed in without stopping. There are magic lights on the walls on both sides, but it is not as dim as imagined. There are many people on the upper floor of the dungeon, and this is where low-level adventurers earn their living expenses every day. Especially now is the time when so many adventurers end their day. Along the way, you can see many adventurers talking and laughing back to the city. Riveria kept a certain distance from Lulu to ensure that she could support the other party at any time without disturbing the other party's adventure. Finding a relatively quiet place, the two had just stood still when several cracks suddenly appeared on the wall in front of them. As the gravel fell, a goblin with red eyes appeared in front of them. The goblins in the dungeon are just the lowest level minions, and Qian Green's thin body is a little shorter than Lulu's. Hearing the goblin make a strange cry and rush towards her, Lulu showed a look of disgust on her face. Smash 'em, Pixar. It's not like the performance of a newcomer at all. There is no fear, and there is no sense of tension. With a wave of Lulu's staff, 2 purple energy bullets penetrated the goblin's body like shooting stars. The newly born goblin instantly turned into a puff of black smoke, leaving only a fingernail-sized magic stone on the ground. Question mark. Riveria looked at the little man in front of her in surprise. The one just now should be magic, and an adventurer with an average level of power like this can't handle it at all. And if I'm not mistaken, Lulu didn't chant. Or is that joke-like remark the chant text? She is worthy of being a talent favored by Master Saul, she does have enough talent. Lulu, don't you need to chant your magic? Yingchen, what is that? Lulu turned her head in doubt. That innocent appearance made Riveria unable to help but doubt her own common sense. It seems that there is still a long way to go to popularize common sense for this child. Hey Riveria, is this the magic stone? Well, As long as you defeat the monsters, you can get magic stones, and you can exchange them for Farley when you return to the guild. But, this is too small. Lulu squeezed the magic stone with some disgust. After all, this is only the first floor, and goblins are just the weakest monsters. Well, the first floor is relatively friendly to adventurers. Not to mention weak monsters, the speed and number of refreshes are very slow. Riveria had enough time to give Lulu cop about the situation of the dungeon. After another half an hour, Lulu only met a dozen goblins and ugly monsters. This is the result of the two of them entering the 5th floor. After coming to the 5th floor, the speed of monster refresh was significantly faster. Of course, there are still only goblins and ugly monsters. Relying on herself and Pixar's shining spear, Lulu can easily harvest these monsters. Riveria has become a little numb, and started to work as a supporter intimately. This kid's magical power is so rich, and that magic is also outrageous. There is no chanting, and there is no cooldown time, and the power is still strong. Come here today, if you go any further, it will be too late to go back. Bending down to pick up a drop item from a goblin, raising her head to estimate the time, Riveria said something to Lulu, who is still not finished. Bringing Lulu to the dungeon today is already an exception. If you go back later, the family members should be worried. Hey. But I still want to meet other monsters, I finally made it here. It really is a bear kid. Riveria sighed silently. Chapter 7 The Tao of Tribulation. Lulu had no intention of going home at all. Facing the brat, Riveria felt her head was getting bigger. At this time, she has not fully awakened to the identity of mother. I'll come back with you tomorrow, okay? Riveria patiently persuaded her, with a bit of reluctance in her smile. While talking, he handed the cloth bag containing magic stones and dropped items to the other party. This is what Lulu has gained along the way. Then, we have an appointment. Of course, it's agreed. After finally convincing Lulu to return to the city, Riveria took Lulu to the guild to exchange Fally. This time, though, Lulu took care of it all herself, and Riveria just waited at the entrance. It's also to let the child get acquainted with the process, and she won't be able to accompany each other every time in the future. Arya, I'm going to exchange these for Farley. Lulu saw Arya at a window, her eyes lit up, and she trot over and climbed onto the chair. Miss Lulu. Have you already gone to the dungeon today? Looking at the little face that appeared outside the window unexpectedly, Arya had a deep memory of the girl that Lord Riveria personally brought. As expected of a newcomer to the Thor family, he dared to enter the dungeon as soon as he became an adventurer. While asking, Arya has habitually accepted the bag handed by Lulu. The harvest in the cloth bag once again exceeded her expectations. There are nearly 100 magic stones. There are also a dozen or so drop props. Although it seems that it is only the lowest level of magic stones, there is something wrong with this number. At most, it only took half a day to enter the dungeon, aren't you a newcomer? Generally, for newcomer adventurers who have just entered the dungeon, if they can bring back more than a dozen magic stones a day, it is considered a very good result. As expected of an adventurer led by Lord Riveria herself. This is genius. HMPH, Riveria took me into the dungeon this afternoon. I see, there should be monsters that Riveria-sama dealt with here. Lord Riveria definitely didn't like these low-level magic stones, so he gave them to the newcomers of his family. If it is that adult, it is not surprising. Arya nodded slightly, and gave an explanation in her heart. These add up to a total of 67,100 Farley, please take care of Miss Lulu. Soon the Farley exchange staff calculated the value of these items, and returned the cloth bag full of Farley to Lulu's hands. Although the dungeon is a place to make a fortune, the magic stones of low-level monsters are really worthless. Like goblins and ugly monsters, the unified purchase price of complete magic stones is 100 mana each, and Lulu's income on the first day can exceed 60,000 thanks to those dropped props. Rivelia-chan, I've made money too. Lulu triumphantly found Riveria with the purse. Seeing the other party's happy face, Riveria rarely felt that Lulu was cute. Of course when not causing trouble. Just put it away carefully. When the real adventure starts, there are many props that need to be bought with money. Oh. Lulu herself has no concept of money, and she showed it to Riveria just to prove herself. But seeing the lack of interest on the other party's face, he suddenly felt bored. The two set foot on the road back. As everyone knows, just behind the doorpost not far away, two orcs with grinning poked their heads out. They are members of the Dark Faction, of course they are just some minions. These orcs are not strong, but relying on the name of the Dark Faction, they earn money by robbing adventurers on weekdays. Of course, their targets are generally weak newcomers. In Orario, most of the little people are synonymous with being easy to bully. Except for those few. And Lulu, who had just exchanged fare in the guild, was targeted by them as a small human. Pink newcomers, little people, a lot of harvest. Coupled with Lulu's seemingly valuable staff equipment, these guys suddenly became jealous. With the rough tracking skills of these orcs, Riveria had already spotted them within 2 steps. With the help of the glass on the window beside her, Riveria quickly locked the position of the other party. What's wrong, Riveria? Lulu, did you meet any strange people in the guild? Meet someone. I met the bearded man who exchanged Farley. That's not. Forget about it, how about we go back this way? The bearded man at the exchange Farley window, sorry for being the weird one. Silently apologizing to the other party in her heart, Riveria quickly changed the subject. The important thing now is what to do with the little mice that stalk them. Those guys who were not planning to provoke the Dark Faction, but they were targeted, so there is no way. In order to ensure the safety of the new family members, it is better to deal with those guys. Being able to lead the family forward in such a dark environment, Riveria is not some soft-hearted virgin. Lulu still looked heartless, she was quite happy to be able to go home from a new road. The two walked into the dark alley side by side, and a few greedy eyes immediately looked over. The malicious gaze made the two people with keen perception feel disgusted. After walking a few steps, it is obvious that more and more eyes are paying attention to them. Rivelia, I don't like this place. Lulu gently tugged on La Riveria's sleeve. Persist for a while, and leave after those guys are dealt with. As soon as the words fell, dozens of figures emerged from the shadows in the corner. Under the dim light of the magic stone lamp in the corner, several members of the Dark Faction appeared. It is mainly composed of orcs, and the 2 stalkers I discovered earlier are also among them. Hey, it's dangerous to walk the path at this late hour. Boss. There is also a super punctual elf here. Beautiful elf. Haha, let me love you well. The obscenities attacked the 2 of them first, and the obscene expression made Riveria's cold expression completely drop. Although I don't expect these Dark Faction people to say anything pleasant. You are adventurers from Olili. How dare you speak wild words in front of me? Chapter 8 Spike. Speaking of arrogance, there are not many adventurers in Olili who don't know her. And according to her observation, there are so many people who don't have faces they recognize. Just these people dared to rob him, and the current Dark Faction is really getting more and more arrogant. These mindless guys didn't even think about it. Why didn't so many guys hiding in the dark along the way do anything? Could it be that these bastards still pay attention to first come first served? Unable to suppress the anger in her heart, Riveria's cold eyes swept over the orcs surrounding them. The orcs who came to rob couldn't help but tremble with the eyes that seemed to be looking at the dead. The instinct of the beast in their bones is sending them a dangerous signal. Boss, there's something wrong with that female elf. Among the orcs, there were also sane ones. Stop talking nonsense, you're just a mere elf. The others seemed to have been blinded by the animal nature in their bodies, and the sudden raising of their voices was more like emboldening themselves. Stepping forward, the circle around Riveria and the others became smaller and smaller, and a stench of wild beasts came to the nostrils. A miscellaneous dog with a brain on a sperm. Seeing the beast dazzled by animal lust, Riveria's expression of disgust was not concealed at all. It seems that there is nothing to ask. Originally, I wanted to make a Klitsch copyright, and directly destroy the other party's family after returning home. What a shame. Without giving them another chance to approach, Riveria waved the staff in her hand. The harbinger of the end, the white snow. Facing the twilight hour, wind up the closed light, the frozen earth blows snow all over the sky, 3 severe winter so my name is Alf. A short chant was spit out from Riveria's mouth, and the powerful magic power gathered on the magic gem at the tip of the staff, and the brilliant light instantly dispelled the darkness. The halo of ice blue spread out from the center of Riveria, and a thin layer of ice was instantly spread on the walls of the buildings in the entire nearby street. As the main target of the magic, the surrounding orcs, in just a few seconds, the frost began to climb upwards from the soles of their feet. In the blink of an eye, everyone was wrapped in ice crystals, and the breath of life disappeared along with the frost. Riveria can chant of different lengths to control the intensity of her magic, which is why she is called Nine Magic Princess in the original book. After being accepted by Saul as a follower, her talent still remained. Even with the shortest chant text, the strength of LV6 is not something these small fish can bear. See GUI, Riveria's magic is amazing. The voice of praise rang out, and immediately after that, Lulu ran towards the orcs who had turned into ice sculptures. You know, killing monsters is different from killing people. Even if the opponent is an orc. Originally, she was worried that the child would not get used to killing people, so she deliberately chose milder magic. At least it won't make the scene particularly bloody. However, now it seems that I underestimated Lulu. She looks super excited and doesn't feel uncomfortable at all. Now Riveria has to worry about whether Lulu will disrespect life too much. It's really awkward, myself. Okay, it's time for us to go back, Lulu. Most of the surrounding site disappeared after she used the magic, and her goal of killing chickens and monkeys had been achieved. Seeing that Lulu was still beating on the ice sculpture and had no intention of leaving, Riveria had no choice but to step forward and drag her away. Not long after the two left, a rush of footsteps came from the depths of the alley. Don't rush at the trash elf so fast. The woman's dissatisfied shout came from the direction of the footsteps. Liu, wearing the emerald green cloak, rushed out from the alley. As soon as she got close to here, she felt a stinging chill on her skin, and even with her physical fitness, she couldn't help shaking. And the ice sculpture standing in the middle of the alley is even more conspicuous, like a life-size doll. What's going on here? Before Liu could observe for a long time, members of the Astria family rushed to the scene led by Elise Raphael. As the family members of the Goddess of Justice, during this time when the Dark faction is raging, they also take on the job of maintaining the law and order of Orario. Alleys buried in darkness like this are the focus of their patrols. Although it was only for a split second, they still felt the magic power emanating from Riveria. That's why I rushed over to check the situation. They're all bugs from the Dark faction, what a disgusting expression. Gojo no Kagaya, who was wearing a kimono, covered his mouth and nose in disgust. Everyone in the Astria family could clearly see the expressions of the orcs when they died. There was no trace of fear or pain, and the obscene smile was still frozen on his face. These orcs were instantly killed by someone. You kicked the iron plate when you tried to attack the adventurer. The pink-haired little human Layla speculated. It is really easy to guess from the expressions on the faces of these orcs. Does anyone know any of these people? I haven't seen it, it doesn't look like a powerful character. As far as the magic power we felt before, there are not many mages that Olili can achieve that level of magic. And it's still ice magic, so the range will be much smaller all of a sudden. Listening to the chattering discussions of the members of the family, the enthusiasm for chatting seems to have surpassed the essence of this matter. Alicia couldn't help interrupting everyone, and made a decisive decision. It's really troublesome, so let's take these corpses back to the guild first. Let the guild check the adventurer's information and there should be results, right? Yes. I agree too. The show of hands voting process was super smooth, and Elise didn't even need to talk too much. Apparently this wasn't the first time they'd done something like this. Chapter 9 Erebus. That is to say, when you came back, you cleared out a group of little guys who didn't have eyesight. Yes, most of them are orcs, and there are no faces I recognize. On Riveria's side, after returning to the guild's residence, she immediately reported to Saul what happened after she went out. Saul didn't express anything after listening, and enjoyed Riveria's knee pillow absently. He even started to close his eyes and meditate. Anything else? No, it's mainly about this matter. You came back so late, didn't you take Lulu to visit other places? After registering the adventurer's information, Lulu and I played around in the dungeon. When the words came to her lips, Riveria held back and adjusted her wording a little. The two fell silent in a tacit understanding, and the atmosphere in the room gradually became ambiguous. Magi of the Dragon God is not a title that came out of thin air. The two were about to get better, when a knock on the door suddenly interrupted their good deeds. Riveria opened her eyes in a panic, kicked out, and the man on her body was immediately kicked off. Skillfully arranged the dress on her body, and in less than a minute, she regained the image of the serious and dignified head of the family. What's the matter? Open the door and let the elves outside the door enter the room. However, the other party was keenly aware that the mood of the head of the team seemed not right. There seems to be some dissatisfaction in the eyes looking at myself. My Lord God also looked at me with some resentment in his eyes. She is not unfamiliar with this situation at all, and the matter between Lord Saul and Lord Riveria is not a secret at all among the family. I'm sorry, Lord Riveria. Well, Miss Alyssa Copyright-E is in the living room, and she wants to see you. Elise. Saul and Astria have a good personal relationship, and the other family members are all righteous people, and Riveria has had a lot of exchanges with them. However, after the dark faction became rampant, because Thor chose to remain neutral, the connection between the two families was less. So it's so late, what is the head of the Astria family looking for me for? With some doubts in her heart, Riveria followed the elf to the living room. Elise was sitting on the sofa in the center of the living room, with several companions beside her. Liu Leon with a serious face, Gojo Kagaya with squinting eyes and a pink-haired little human Layla. The three are all cadres of the Astria family, and they often eliminate evil and promote good on weekdays. Although the rank is not high, they are also well-known figures in Olali. Sorry to bother you so late, Lord Riveria. Don't worry about it, what's the matter with Miss Alyssa Copyright-E coming to see me? Alice's etiquette is very good. Although both sides are heads of the same family, the gap between the Astria family and the Saul family is not small. As the team leader, he is only LV3, and there is a huge gap between him and Riveria of LV5. Of course, if she knew that Riveria's actual level was LV6, she might be more surprised. When we were patrolling the alleys of Ross Street in Data today, we found several orc corpses that had been frozen into ice sculptures, so we wanted to find out about the situation from Lord Riveria. With the help of the guild, Elise and the others broke the grace locks on the backs of those dead people. I thought it was just some common miscellaneous soldiers, but I didn't expect that there was one LV3 and 3 LV2 in it. Even the current Astria family only has 3 LV3s. This time the problem became more complicated, but the range of suspects was also narrowed down a lot. To be able to instantly kill a group of adventurers including LV2 and LV3, the magic mage must be at least LV4 or above. There are only a handful of mages who can do this in Olali. Among them, there are even fewer who can use ice magic. You mean those orcs? They plotted against me, so I solved it easily. Eliminating a few members of the dark faction is a good thing for Olali at this time. She has to thank us. Riveria admitted directly, but excluded Lulu. She already had a plan in mind when she started. If the incident ferments, let those dark factions focus their attention on themselves. However, it was beyond her expectation that the people of Astria's family could find themselves so quickly. As expected of Lord Riveria, there are several intermediate adventurers among those orcs. That's right. Maybe they underestimated me. Riveria is still lacking in interest. Anyway, she just killed those orcs in seconds with just one spell. It doesn't matter whether she is intermediate or not intermediate. Have you found out the identities of those orcs? It's a tribe that has just migrated to Olali, and just joined the ranks of the dark faction a few days ago. Elise told the information she had obtained from the guild. Oh, no wonder you dare to hit me on the head. This result was not much different from what she had guessed. Responding somewhat perfunctorily, Riveria quietly stared at Elise in front of her. She didn't think that a head of the family came here just to tell herself these things. But it was impossible for her to speak first. The leader's habit made her instinctively want to take a favorable position in the negotiation. The interests of the family members are given priority. I came to Master Riveria this time to discuss something with you. The game of staring and staring didn't last long, and Lyra, who was following Alyssa Copyright-E, took the initiative to break the silence. The other party acts as a think tank in the Astria family. It seems that many families are commanded by the little people. Seeing that Elise didn't intend to stop, she obviously agreed to Lila to communicate. If you have anything to say, just talk about it. The guild has a plan to attack the Erebus family. They let us know what you think. Noticing Riveria's lack of interest, Layla went straight to the point. Family of Erebus. Riveria frowned. The Erebus family is the leader of the dark faction. If Erebus can be returned, it will be a great thing for Orario. Of course, this is on the premise that the Erebus family can be eliminated. But among the current Orario, the Erebus family is unique in strength, neither the Loki family nor the Freya family are his opponents. The main threats are the gluttonous Chardo and the silent Althea. The remnants of the Zeus family and the Hera family. At present, the only LV7 of Ilari. Chapter 10 Olali's First Magister. If you want to attack that guy Erebus, these two LV7s are the threshold you have to cross. This is why Thor didn't let members of his family take this muddy water in the first place. I have no idea, and you all know that the Saul family has always remained neutral. Lila's proposal was a good one, but Riveria didn't see the possibility of the plan succeeding. She also didn't think the guild could produce adventurers comparable to two LV7s. To put it bluntly, the two of them really got serious. At present, all the top adventurers in Olali may not have a chance to join forces. With Lord Riveria's strength, why don't you contribute to the peace of Orario? Listening to the conversation between the two sides, Liu couldn't bear it after all. Liu. Elise interrupted her family pet nervously. It's okay. Riveria shook her head lightly, looking gently at the stubborn elf in front of her. Liu, LV3, Olali's famous genius, and the 8-year-old LV2 ace of the Rocky family are called twin stars. The other party looked at him with some disappointment in his eyes. As an elf royal family, Riveria has a perfect image in the hearts of many elves. Liu now feels like her faith has collapsed. Liu didn't talk back to her team leader anymore, and walked out on her own after saying that. Elise reluctantly gave Gojoy Kagaya an order, and the other party opened those squinting eyes. Respectfully apologized to Riveria, and quickly chased after Liu. I'm sorry Lord Riveria, but Liu's temper is quite straightforward. It's okay, it's a good thing to have a sense of justice. Seeing that Riveria did not take Liu's rudeness to heart, Elise and the others were relieved. Now they are the ones who ask for it. They don't know how difficult it is to deal with the Erebus family. Riveria of Mage, Olali's #1 demon, is the combat power they must fight for. The Loki family has agreed to participate in this operation, and they are contacting the Freya family and the Ganesha family. Let's talk about this matter after you have gathered all the family members who participated in the operation. I also need to discuss it with Lord Saul. Riveria interrupted Layla and the others. Although it was a little impolite, even if she was willing to participate in this operation, she would still discuss it with the Loki family or the Freya family. The strength of the Astria family is not enough in this plan. It was already obvious what Riveria meant to see off the guests, and Layla and Alicia took their leave tactfully and left. They made this trip because they were instructed by others, so they came here first to find out what Riveria had to say. It's good news that the other party didn't refuse, just like Finn's plan. That's right, for this crusade against the Erebus family, the leader chosen by the guild at the beginning was the Loki family. They were only invited by Finn when they went to the guild, and the family members of the Goddess of Justice naturally agreed directly. Finn and the others went to the Freya family first, and the other party seemed to have guessed Riveria's reaction. After seeing off Ali and thanking them, Riveria returned to the bedroom. My lord Shangshan was playing with another family member. If they came back a little later, they would probably have to turn off the lights and go to sleep. The unsightly scene made Riveria's blood surge, and her delicate hands were tightly clenched. Master Saul. I have something to discuss with you. The suppressed anger made Saul immediately wake up. Riveria, I'm just waiting for your time to be boring. Watching the female elf beside him run out, there were only 2 people left in the room. Having been together for so many years, she has already understood the nature of her god, and Riveria quickly took 2 deep breaths to calm down. Can't you control yourself? The previous lesson is not deep enough. Next time for sure, next time for sure. Ignoring Saul's promise 100 times, Riveria walked to the edge of the bed and sat down. The other party immediately came up cheeky, put his hands on his shoulders and began to massage gently. By the way, Riveria, your favor hasn't been updated for a while, right? Not long after, feeling that the atmosphere in the room had eased a lot, Saul tentatively spoke. After reaching LV6, the difficulty of upgrading has increased a lot. In Hui's updates don't need to be so frequent, Not to mention that Riveria has basically reached the peak state of LV6 now. The ability value improved through adventure is only a single digit. It has been more than a month since the last update of Enway, and there is still a lack of Enway that can upgrade her. Then I will trouble you. Seeing Soul's intention to ease the atmosphere, Riveria stood up cooperatively. Taking off the heavy coat that sealed his proud figure, the white back was immediately displayed in front of Saul. Without giving Saul time to admire, Riveria quickly lay down on the bed. Don't read it, don't you want to update Enway? Even though it has been seen many times, Riveria still can't help but feel shy. Hey, I can't help it, who made Velia in my family so beautiful? There was a smirk on his face, but Thor still knew the business. Take out from the side the silver needle that was used to burn the favor for Lulu earlier. Gently pricking the pad of the finger, the blood slowly fell on Riveria's back. Dense sacred characters emerged on Riveria's back. A. Rivelia Rios Alpha. Level 6. Ability value. Strength. E442 E457. Durable. D598 AAC 622. Smart. A834 A867. Agility. A801 AAA 812. Magic. S995 AAS 996. A Magica. A Chant Link. Attack Magic. Ecstasy A Winter of Finbull, Advanced A Sword of Victory, Wes's Windhelm. A Chant Link. Defensive Magic. Destiny Fantasy Tool Breath Dimension Interception. A Chant Link. Recovery Magic. Phil Eldis, Luna Arutus, Holy Sky. A Skilla. The Fairy King Sings. A Magical Effect Amplification. A Range Extension. A The greater the amount of chanting, the greater the effect of skill improvement. Fairy King Seal. A. Enhancement of magic power. A. Strengthen the magic of the same family that exists in its own magic circle. A. Convert the magic essence consumed by the same race in its own magic circle into spiritual power and absorb it. Rune. Mana Flow Band. A. Gain additional magic power limit. A. Restores 1% of lost mana every 5 seconds. Rune. Transcendence. A. Speed AA Up Chant. A. Reduce magic cooldown. A. Greatly reduces magic cooldown when killing enemies. Development ability. Magic E, Healing G, Abnormal Resistance G, Spiritual Healing H, Magic Defense H. Chapter 11 The Intention of the Loki Familia. Riveria's favor panel is much stronger than Lulu's. And her 2 runes in the skill panel were learned from the rune magic provided by Saul. This is not the real and complete rune stone, but just a trace of truth learned from the rune. The effect is a bit worse than the original runes, but the requirements for users are still very high, and few members of the entire family can master them. For a mage like Riveria, the runes have greatly improved her. In the whole of Olali, except for those 2 LV7s, if you pull anyone out, who would dare to accept Riveria's magic? After updating the favor, Saul took out the parchment and recorded the content of the favor. Riveria pulled the blanket to cover the spring light on her chest, then took the parchment and checked it. The increase in ability value is not much, and this is the result of more than a month of accumulation. The durability has been raised to C, what a pleasant surprise. As a mage, Riveria, your strength and durability are already pretty good. It's not the way of close combat mage, Riveria usually acts as a fort in adventures. At that time, there will be plenty of tough warriors standing in front of her to protect her. Riveria is also self-aware of her position. However, the improvement of attributes still made her happy for a while. As the head of a family, her desire for strength even surpassed that of herself in the Loki family in the original book. After a brief glance, Riveria threw the parchment into the stove. Watching the parchment being ignited, it was completely burned to ashes before looking again. After all, the level is concealed in the guild, and the parchment after registering the favor cannot be left behind. In order not to leave a handle and be discovered that day. I almost forgot about business because I was so preoccupied with looking at Enway. The guild has an idea to attack the Erebus family. Oh. Cronus finally couldn't bear it anymore. That's why Astoria's child came here before. Well, I wanted to ask your opinion. Do you want to participate? Saul lay on the bed in a comfortable position, and stared at the other party playfully. The Erebus family is the leader of the dark faction, and it is good for us to get rid of them. Do you want to participate? Saul repeated the question. Understanding the meaning of your home god, Riveria nodded slightly. Go ahead, but be careful. To put it bluntly, this action is the official war between black and white forces. Regardless of victory or defeat, Olali's power in the future is destined to be reshuffled. Ordinary small families can still maintain neutrality, but powerful ones like the Thor family will most likely be settled by Choho after the battle is over. If the battle is intense, they are forced to participate before the battle is even over. It's better to take the initiative to stand in the team and choose a camp that you like. What's more, this is a good opportunity to brush up the record. Aren't the two LV7s of the Dark faction now the most suitable experience packs for Riveria to upgrade? In any case, after this incident, Olali can almost enter a period of peace. The next time someone comes up with something, bring them directly to me. After finishing speaking, without waiting for Riveria's consent, Sol's salty hands took advantage of the opponent's unpreparedness and pulled down the blanket on Riveria's chest. The action was particularly agile and threw the elf who hadn't reacted to the bed. Time flies, and in the blink of an eye, many days have passed since the last time the Astria family came to visit. It seems that they smelled the crisis hidden in the dark. During this period of time, even the arrogant and domineering Dark factions have subsided a lot. Olali has entered a rare period of peace, and the streets are peaceful. Of course, to those who knew the guild's actions, it was more like the calm before the storm. The more peaceful Olali is now, the more frightened Riveria is. Riveria still took the family members into the dungeon for adventure as usual. The main purpose is to train Lulu, and the family members only wander around the upper and middle levels. Maybe it's a Yordle's natural talent, or maybe Lulu is already strong already. In short, Lulu's ability value has improved rapidly in the past few days, almost every day. The other members of the family who watched itched their teeth with envy. The quiet days didn't last long. When Riveria brought her back to the family's residence that day, she saw a few strange figures in the hall. The goddess Loki with red hair and an ordinary figure and several major cadres of her family. Finn, Grace, and a human female named Gilatia are still at LV5. It seems to be the relationship between the world's correction power. Gilatia replaced the original position of the three giants of the Riveria Loki family. Of course, these are not the key points, the current Riveria is much stronger than them. Hey, all your children are back. Loki spoke a Kansai accent, and sat cross-legged on the sofa carelessly, more casual than at home. After seeing Riveria, those squinting eyes almost burst into light. If Gilatia hadn't held down the opponent, Saul had no doubt that she would have rushed directly. You have so many members of Excellent, it would be impolite to stare at Velia-chan in my house. Damn it. We went to Alfred Wongson back then. If you didn't take the lead, Riveria would have belonged to us. Don't be too whimsical. Riveria is attracted by my charm. It can only show that I am more excellent than you. It's up to you. Don't laugh at us to death. Loki stomped his feet angrily, and pointed at Thor's nose with trembling fingers. Seeing how the opponent broke through the defense, Saul proudly held his head high. The difference in height between the two of them allowed him to look down on Loki even while sitting. Beckoning to Riveria, the other party took advantage of the opportunity and sat down beside Saul. Is Loki here to ask for help, or something about Erebus? Saul simply explained. The two had already discussed it before, but Riveria did not express her attitude in a hurry. What are you still thinking about? That guy Erebus is doing things more and more too much now. The red-haired tablet on the opposite side patted the coffee table heavily. Didn't I say it? I have no reason to get involved in your fight at all. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Chapter 12 Cooperation, Win-Win. We don't need to get involved in your battle at all. Saul stared at the few people with great interest, putting his chin on his hands and putting on a playful smile. Help is definitely necessary, but the benefits that are required must not be less. Anyway, I was still in the neutral camp for the time being, and the strength of the family was here. It would be impossible to pull him into the camp with just a few words. He is not the righteous woman like Astria. What the hell are you worried about? Why didn't you find out that you were such an ink-stained guy when you were in heaven? I'm not as rich and powerful as your family. My family has few children. What if such a dangerous thing gets involved and the number of staff is reduced? Master Saul, we have already invited many top adventurers to join, which is enough to deal with those high-end combat forces. Finn beside Loki added in a timely manner. His confidence in his plan could be heard in his words. That's right, we've got Freya and Ganesha on board. This time, we're going to do it right now, and send that annoying guy Erebus back to the heaven. Loki squinted his eyes and showed a hint. Smirk. Master Saul, you must know that if our action fails this time, O'Leary will completely become a paradise for the dark faction. Then what should your family do? Finn explained calmly. Consequences of failure to act. This can already be regarded as a threat. But Saul had already considered this issue from the very beginning. As the saying goes, when the sky falls, there is a tall one to hold it up, but if the Loki family and the Freya family fall, the tall one who stands up to the sky will become their own. Chardo and Althea, have you thought about how to deal with it? Those two LV7s were undoubtedly the biggest difficulty of this operation. He wanted these two people to become experience packs for Rivria's upgrade, but it didn't mean that he could just watch Rivria take risks. These two experience packs are not something that can be won casually. Truth be told, Saul didn't think Rivria would survive at their hands. If he is not sure enough, then Saul would rather not participate in the crusade between the two. Oda can block Chaldor, and we will deal with Althea first, and the Ganesha family will lead the others to intercept the high-end combat power of the remaining few families. The plan is simple, but really the best option. It's just that it may not be so easy to implement it when the time comes. Althea is known as the incarnation of talent, and it is not easy to quickly solve the opponent. We can only wait until the time to make some changes according to the battle situation. You can participate. I want half of the spoils captured in this operation. Impossible. You guys actually took advantage of the fire. Hearing Thor Lion's big asking price, Rocky almost turned his head and ran away. Fortunately, Finn quickly held her down. As an excellent commander, he knew that this operation could not lack the help of the Saul family. The AoE ability of a powerful magician mage is too powerful in this kind of battlefield. Who made their family not have a level demon mage like Rivria? Although Gilatia is good, she is not as good as Riviera. This elven royal family is also a monster whose combat power exceeds the level limit and is famous for Olali. Besides, if the other party is willing to raise conditions, doesn't that mean that Saul is willing to cooperate? As long as the Saul family is won over, the attitudes of those who remain neutral will also change. We have mobilized so many family members this time, the spoils of war must not be divided like this. There's not enough interest to motivate me to act. We also need to guarantee the share of the spoils of other families. The spoils can only be given to Soul's family by 10%, so you can choose them first. Then I want 30% of the guild's subsidy afterwards. If you agree, we will cooperate. For such a big action, the guild will take the lead and guide it, and the guild will definitely express it, which is also a lot of fair. However, compared to the spoils of war, Farley is not that important at this time. Finn hesitated for a moment, looked at Loki, and quickly nodded in agreement. As long as the dark faction is driven away, there are plenty of opportunities to make money. Then the cooperation has been reached, and Rivria will discuss the rest with you. Saul showed a satisfied smile on his face, got up and patted Rivria on the shoulder. The fighting can only be left to themselves. You guys are really greedy, you actually took away such a large sum of money from us in one go. As soon as he walked out of the hall, Loki couldn't help complaining to Saul. Thinking of Solti's conditions, she still felt a pain in the flesh. As the god of trickery, when did she, Loki, suffer such a big loss? Don't say that, the dignified Loki family still cares about such a small amount of money, so it's considered poverty alleviation. D. Loki's expression froze, and he almost poked his finger on the tip of the opponent's nose. He stomped his feet twice, and ran out angrily. If it wasn't for being unable to beat the opponent, she would have wanted to punch Saul's smiling face that was cheap and good-looking. As long as he, Saul, can still lick his face and say things like helping the poor, what the hell are you poor? Saul's family was even richer than hers. In order to complete the guild's expedition mission, his family couldn't keep the money at all. On the bright side, the Loki family is indeed glamorous, but they know their own affairs. There are few people in the Thor family, and most of them are magisters. Mage is known to damage equipment far less frequently than warrior. In the Saul family, Riveria's income alone is more than enough to support the entire family. At this moment, Saul became the second most annoying guy in her heart, second only to that dwarf Hestia. Just a few days after the two sides reached an agreement, on an ordinary night, Saul was wandering in the dreamland peacefully with his arms around Riveria's pillow. A violent explosion suddenly woke them up. Riveria put on her clothes neatly, picked up the staff and protected Saul behind her. There was also a commotion in the family members, and the members of the family members walked out of the dormitory one by one, and the family resident immediately entered a state of combat readiness. Standing in the courtyard of the family residence, the members have already assembled here, and the flames of Olili can be seen from a distance. The dark night was dyed red by the fire, and a beam of light shot up into the sky, and the night was instantly illuminated by the beam of light. Thor was no stranger to these beams of light, symbols of the gods being sent back to the heavens. Before he could clear his mind, two beams of light appeared again, and they continued to increase. What the hell is someone staring at God and taking action? Chapter 13 Turning the Table. Master Saul. It seems that those guys from the dark faction jumped over the wall in a hurry, and there was really a big commotion. Thor had a rare serious expression on his face. Although the gods in the lower realm have sealed their power, they still tacitly maintain some unspoken rules. For example, don't directly attack other gods. The guys from the dark faction have already turned the table directly. The situation outside is still unclear now. Even outside the residence of their family members, there seems to be the sound of people running to and fro. In order to protect the safety of the family members and Saul, Riveria has no time to take care of other things. This is obviously an action against the gods of the various families. She must follow Saul every step of the way, and protecting the safety of the other party is the most important thing. Joan, Lan, you two have a look together, be careful not to leave too far away. Riveria gave instructions to the two female elves who looked somewhat similar beside her. They are LV4 adventurer sisters, the strongest in the family except Riveria. Joan is good at defensive magic, Lan is archer, and there is an LV4 Karina who is good at lightning magic. The two of them cooperated very well. When they went out to investigate the situation, their safety should be guaranteed. The two elves left the yard quickly without any hesitation after obeying the order. Okay, don't worry so much, with Riveria here, even if there are troublemakers, they dare not come to our place. Watching the two leave, and noticing that the family members around him were still a little nervous, Saul comforted them in a relaxed tone. And not long after the two left, the door was suddenly hit hard. If it weren't for the fact that the gate of his family's family was made of special materials, they would have been broken down directly. The uninvited guest is here. Thor spat angrily. He just said that no one dared to come here, and this slap in the face came too fast. Don't give me any face. Spirit of the Wood, my wish is granted. Maurice Clothessa, my name is Alf. Riveria reacted very quickly, and when the gate was attacked, a defensive barrier protected them with singing. The moment the barrier was completely covered, several magic bullets pierced through the gate, splashing a layer of ripples on the barrier. Gia, as expected of the Saul family, so many beautiful elves are waiting for my favor. There was a hoarse voice, and several figures walked in from the position of the gate, and everyone's attention was focused on it. The leader is a Pat, followed by more than a dozen powerful elves. These are the elf soldiers, cultivated by the Apat family. A full 12 LV5 combat powers are a force to be reckoned with no matter which battlefield they are in. These elf soldiers were accumulated through excessive drug enhancement, and their combat power was slightly inferior to that of ordinary LV5, and they were unable to fight continuously for a long time. It's just that these guys really dared to invade his family's residence, so they didn't take him seriously at all. This is a decision to eat yourself, and you are going to give yourself a one-stop service to send you back to the heavenly realm. After seeing these people appear, Saul was relieved instead. Hiding in the dark made him feel uncertain. This formation looked scary, but it was not Riveria's opponent, not to mention it was the resident of her own family, with the help of other members. Apat, you dare to rush into my house. Could it be that you are tired of staying in the lower realm and want me to send you back to the heaven realm? Ha ha ha, after tonight, the whole of Orario will be our territory. Just capture it without a fight, Saul. I will accept all your family members. Apat shouted excitedly to Saul, looking at Riveria's eyes revealing lust. The composition of the Saul family is very similar to his, they are all a large number of elves, but the qualifications of the members of the Saul family are more excellent. If he could subdue these elves and strengthen them with potions, he was confident that he would be able to pile up LV6 elf soldiers. Arrogance. Let the shame of your race be buried here today. These elves who joined the dark faction, Riveria didn't have any sympathy. It is simply a scum that corrupts the reputation of the race. When facing these same races, Riveria would even be more straightforward. I heard that Lord Riveria is the strongest magister in Orario. I don't know how your magic compares with the magic sword. On the other side, the elf soldiers taunted Riveria frantically. There was no respect for Riveria in them. While talking, a few elf soldiers drew out the magic sword, and they knew it was a very high-quality magic sword just by looking at its appearance. It's really hard for you to arrange so many people to die. HMPH, you can use your words here to your heart's content. I will send your head back to Wang Sen. The smile on the elf soldier's face grew wilder, and his dilated pupils made his expression extraordinarily ferocious. The elf soldiers holding the magic sword started to move, and the magic power poured into the magic sword like money. The rest of the elf soldiers chanted at the same time, and various lights flickered in the open space. Let's dance, spirit of the air, lord of light. I have signed a contract with the guardian god of the forest, and I hope to play the song of the earth to cover us and protect Yusa. Please turn into a giant wall of forest light and protect Yusa. My name is Alfred. Feeling the fluctuation of magic power that surrounded them, Riveria gave a light smile of disdain, and skillfully chanted the chant of dimension interruption. The light green magic barrier instantly enveloped the family members, but the seemingly thin barrier gave the family members a great sense of security. Counterattack. The other members of the Saul family are also not eating dry food. When Riveria released the magic, Karina temporarily took over the command position, and the remaining members followed the orders in an orderly manner. Dozens of magic chants sounded one after another. With Riveria's protection, these people don't have to think about safety at all. And they have long been accustomed to fighting under Riveria's strict teaching, and they also memorized the chants by heart. Dozens of arrows flew out one step ahead of the magic, and in the camp of the dark faction, two burly warriors in heavy armor stood out. The magical arrows made a clanging sound on the large shield, leaving dents of different depths on the thick large shield. Chapter 14 Total Annihilation. Before the two vanguards could catch their breath, the members who finished singing first released their magic. The power of these magics varies, but under the aura of Riveria's Fairy King seal, they still have a good deterrent effect. The most prominent among them is undoubtedly Karina of LV4. The lightning strike magic known for its destructive power has become even more violent, and the pale thunder engulfed a heavy warrior in the blink of an eye. With a shrill scream, the man's body collapsed weakly, and a puff of black smoke came out from the armor. The teammates standing next to him could vaguely smell the smell of barbecue. This is so frightening. I absolutely can't just die like this, I can't accept this. As a member of the dark faction, he has no sense of teamwork. Feeling that his life was threatened, his determination to protect his teammates suddenly became less firm. Teammates are just for sale. What the hell, this is just a cadre of the Saul family. How powerful is the magic power of Riveria, the #1 magister of Orari? The former residences of the family members were obviously easily breached by them. He has already begun to regret coming to the Thor family. Trash, get out of the way. Before he could decide on his retreat route, two black images rushed out from both sides of him like the wind. The configuration of these elf soldiers is very reasonable: mage, heavy warrior, auxiliary, archer and assassin. It can be seen that Apat really put in a lot of effort to get this elf soldier. It's a pity that he chose the wrong opponent. Today is going to be all left here. Karina aimed at assassin with her second spell, but was sliced open by the man rushing in front of her with a dagger. A trace of electric arcs surrounded his side, and the speed suddenly slowed down. Another person quietly followed behind him, wiped his hands, pulled out two brightly colored magic swords from his boots, and thrust them into the ground in front of the barrier. The violent explosion instantly turned the entire land of the manor upside down. The shaking of the ground made it difficult for the family members around Saul to maintain their balance. However, the most deadly is the crack that appeared on the barrier. The power of these two magic swords can be so strong, this is already a level that ordinary LV6 can't reach. There is no blacksmith in Orario right now who can forge this kind of magic sword. Where did he get this old stock? These guys really spent a lot of money to attack my resident. Thank you so much for looking up to me. Huh, without this disgusting tortoise shell, you can just grab it obediently. As if feeling the dawn of victory, Apat's laughter in the distance became more and more crazy. Tisk, that guy's smile is too ugly. Saul complained unhappily, looking at Apat's eyes with only murderous intent. Even if the magic sword really broke this barrier, so what, those dull guys haven't discovered the gap between them and Riveria. Who the barrier is protecting is anyone's guess. Not having to continue supporting the barrier also meant that Riveria was liberated. They have no idea what they are about to face. Saul really didn't expect that these miscellaneous fish would dare to come to his house to make trouble without two LV7s to help out. Could it be that he had been pretending to be a pig and eating a tiger for too long? These idiots really thought of themselves as pigs. Just send this guy back to the heaven to reflect on it. Soon, the flames will unleash a creeping flame of war, inevitable destruction. The horn of war is sounded loudly, and the war that surrounds all tyranny comes, flame of red lotus, fire without mercy. You are the embodiment of karmic fire sweeping away thousands of troops, bringing the end to a great war and burning everything down, the sword of Stertlia. My name is Alf. A. It seemed that she had a tacit understanding with Saul, and there was also a hint of sternness on Riveria's face. The chant of, advanced sword of victory, sounded, and the chant full of anger seemed to overwhelm all the noise at this moment. The threat of death hangs over the heads of those elf soldiers. They are all LV5 anyway. Even if the LV5 is forcibly piled up with drugs, the elves' perception of magic power is still so keen. There's something wrong with this guy. Very wrong. Damn it. Quick retreat. Damn guild, who the hell said Riveria is LV5? I fell for your big trick. The two assassins who launched the attack were the first to realize the seriousness of the problem. No one knew the power of the two magic swords better than them. That's Clozo's magic sword, which is equivalent to a peak LV6 full blow. Apat's background over the years was originally intended to be used as a means to deal with the Loki family and the Freya family. What's so special? Even the barrier couldn't be completely destroyed. Is this Riveria really LV5? At the same time, countless pillars of fire broke through the ground, and except for a few lucky people who managed to escape, the rest were immediately engulfed by the flames. However, this magic did not end so simply. With Riveria's control, the pillar of fire continued to expand, and merged together at the moment of contact. The scorching flames burned the survivor's cheeks sorely, followed by spontaneous combustion of the clothes and hair on his body. There was no mercy, and no one was able to escape from this place. For a while, only the crackling sound of the flames burning the vegetation was left in the yard. Apati was completely dumbfounded. The elf soldiers that had been hoarded after cultivating for so long were burned to nothing by a spell. Saul, you have a weak soul, you hide really deep. How dare you hide your level? Compared to all the outrageous B************* D things you guys do, I'm just sprinkling water. The situation took a turn for the worse. Saul took a step forward, and slowly came to Apat under the protection of Riveria. Saul is not the type of villain who dies from talking too much, he has the habit of making up the knife. Just when the other party was about to continue to retaliate, Saul grabbed Apat's throat and lifted him above his head. There are many ways to return a god, the simplest is undoubtedly to kill the other party's body. Chapter 15 Devour, 3 times in a row. Hint. It is recommended to devour Apat's divine power and divinity. The voice of parallel consciousness suddenly sounded in his head, and Thor stopped his further actions. The strength on the palm was slightly retracted, and Apat took the opportunity to take a breath. It doesn't matter if he can fight in the heaven, why is this guy still so strong in the world? What the hell, at least I weigh 100 pounds, so I lifted him up with just one hand. What a monster. What do you mean? Explain clearly. Building the Tile Roland continent requires a lot of divine power, and the god who created Tile Roland in the future also needs divine blessing. The continent of Roland also has gods, such as some heroes of Mount Targon, and wandering gods of the astral world. It was negligent, mainly because Saul has not even finished building Bandle City yet. Then devour it. Anyway, this guy will be sent back. After figuring out the situation, Saul made a decision without hesitation. These gods are inherently immortal, and divine power and divinity are consumables. It just so happens that Apat has nothing to do after returning to the heaven, so let Apat slowly bring back these cultivations. There is no need for Saul himself to take action, the parallel consciousness has already started to move. The divine power flowed continuously from Apat to Saul's body, and disappeared without staying for a moment. Damn, what are you doing? Apat finally showed a panicked look. Unlike the heartache when he witnessed his elf soldiers being wiped out before, his divine power and divinity were being stripped away. What the hell is Saul this guy trying to do? Don't worry, I will leave you with the divine power to return to the heaven. Saul looked at the other party kindly. It's like looking at someone who's been taken for a ride. I have to thank you. These gods may be evil or bad in character, but their power and divinity are pure. It doesn't matter if it's not pure. As long as he can contribute to the development of Roland, he will not dislike it. Soon, as the divine power gradually bottomed out, Apati was like a frost-beaten eggplant, his head was tilted to one side, and he completely lost his strength. Goodbye. We are destined to see you. Don't let me see you in heaven, or... Not giving Apat a chance to speak harshly, Saul raised his right palm and slapped the opponent's chest heavily. A burst of energy passed through the body, followed by the beam of light soaring into the sky. All the surrounding flames were blown out by the air wave, and Apati could be vaguely seen flying into the sky in the beam of light. Go all the way, Saul happily waved his hand and greeted him. Apati was still cursing in the beam of light, and he was in a good mood. Even at this level, he dared to shout in front of himself. It deserves to be your own disposable power bank. Are there any alive? The return of Apati saved Saul and the others some effort. At the very least, Riveria's magic was dispelled by the divine power that erupted when Apat sent it back. The family members quickly cleaned the battlefield. Under Riveria's magical attack, there were almost no items that could be called trophies. There were only 2 survivors left of the aggressive intruders, and the rest were almost burnt black, and it was impossible to distinguish their identities. The remaining one is also in a state where more air is released and less air is taken in, and I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe calling for help. Chong and Lan, who had gone out to inquire about the situation before, had already withdrawn when they noticed the soaring flames in the direction of the family members. At this time, the members of the Saul family had already surrounded the 2 survivors. What should these 2 people do? The 2 captured elf soldiers were brought to Saul, and after Apat was sent back, they had no power to resist without the blessing of grace. The remaining members are still cleaning up the destroyed manor. There was still residual heat on the ground that had been burnt black, and the lower level members were not very close. Lock it up first, and see what the Loki family say tomorrow. Obviously, tonight's action was launched by the Dark faction against Loki's plan. Of course, being able to act in such an orderly manner must have been planned for a long time, and the actions of Loki and the others are more like a fuse. No matter what, Rocky and the others will definitely come up with an explanation tomorrow. He wiped out Apat's elf soldiers. No matter what, it was a great achievement, and the guild would not be able to justify it if it didn't give some rewards. These are 12 LV5 elf soldiers. Watching Saul return to the room with a face full of indifference, Riveria dared not be so chic. In order to prevent those dark factions from attacking again, she led the powerful members of the family to take over the task of vigil. This night was destined to be very difficult. Amidst the continuous sound of burning and killing throughout the night, the sun finally remembered his duty and slowly emerged from the east. When he woke up, last night's turmoil did not affect the quality of his sleep at all. But this time he didn't have the intention to go back to sleep. He had absorbed so much divine power last night, and he couldn't wait to see the result. How's it going? At present, Bandle City has completed 17.4%, 3.2% minus 17.4% of the progress, and the number of summons, 3 yordles. The parallel consciousness naturally knew what Saul wanted to ask. This directly increased by 14%, and the progress bar increased in an instant. Mira Pat finally did a good thing before leaving. Even this guy's strength is weak, anyway, he is also a god who has lived for an unknown number of years, and it has only increased by 14%. Sure enough, these guys are too slack in the god realm. Since there are 3 times of summoning, what are you waiting for? One of the greatest joys of playing a development game is drawing cards. Successful summoning, the summoning object is Lost Fang Nar. Successful summoning, the summoning object is Hammer of Sacred Fortitude Bobby. Successful summoning, the summoning object is the Messenger of the Clouds, Vigus. Chapter 16. There are more problem children. Without any precautions. In the blink of an eye, the remaining number of summons turned into a dazzling 0. What the hell, I haven't said start summoning yet. Why assert yourself? With you like this, my sense of participation has been greatly reduced. Why are you pretending to be dead and not talking? Soul's questioning is destined to be fruitless, and the juxtaposed consciousness pretending to be dead makes Saul become impotent and furious. Forget it, there's no need to be tied to the mere consciousness, it's not worth it. After calming down, Saul cheered up again. After all, the 3 summoning opportunities have been used up, that's the result. It can't be said to be the first prize, but it's not too bad. In the past day-to-day distress, there were no adventurers who were suitable to be avant-garde, but now there are. Poppy and Nar are undoubtedly excellent tanks, and Vigus is definitely the first prize drawn this time. Although he is a bad boy, his strength can be called top-notch among all Yordles. The portal appeared again, and before the door was fully opened, Nar jumped out howling. Like a husky out of the cage, having fun in this strange place. Riveria stared blankly at the other party messing up the lounge with an incomprehensible speed, and suddenly felt a little tired. Problem children, one more. No, why should I say again? Wow. This is the world where heroes live. Just as Riveria was about to subdue Nar, another figure walked out of the portal. This time it was a loli with twin ponytails, and her pair of pointed ears looked slender than that of elves. Of course, it might be because of their smaller size. Wearing a set of heavy armor, she carried a hammer longer than her, and carried a round shield on her back. The height of the 2 people is about the same as that of Lulu, so they should be of the same race. What's it called? Yordle. At least this kid looks much better behaved. Riveria nodded contentedly. Fortunately, not all of them are children who need her to put a lot of effort into discipline, otherwise I feel like I will be transferred to a nursery nanny. You are, Lord Creator. After seeing Saul, Bobby rushed to him like a little girl. The heavy armor on her body did not affect her movement speed at all. Creator God. Riveria frowned suspiciously. Isn't my Lord God the Dragon God? Why is this child called the God of Creation, and the way this child appears is also very strange. The Lulu who appeared before is already very strange, and there are also Yordles that I have never heard of. That's right, I'm Aurelion Saul. You can call me Lord Saul or Lord God. Saul raised his chest with an arrogant face. Instantly captured the heart of this little girl. No. Master Saul. Wait, there's one more person who hasn't come. Riveria was interrupted by Saul just as she was about to ask a question. The portal hadn't closed yet, but the 3rd member who was supposed to show up was delayed. What's going on? Parallel consciousness. It's fine to draw the card instead of me, but now I can't even get the rewards into my account. Can it work? Hold on. The juxtaposed consciousness that had been silent for a long time did not continue to pretend to be dead. Wei Gussie's late behavior made her parallel consciousness feel very embarrassed. Okay, I get it, here it comes, it's really troublesome. There was a feeble sound from behind the portal, followed by a figure in a dark cloak walking out from behind the door with long sleeves dragging. There was an air of decadence exuding from the other party's body, and her world-weary expression seemed to fit inexplicably with her lovely face. Purple's eyes lifted slightly, and he barely bowed his head to Saul. Long time no see, Vigus. How are you doing recently? Bobby warmly greeted her. They are also companions living in Bandle City, and they know each other. Nar is different. As a prehistoric Yordle, he is not familiar with these descendants. Ah, well, it was pretty good until I met you. Hey, how can you say that? We haven't seen each other for so long. Bobby, take care of yourself. I have nothing to talk to you. Vigus's attitude was very bad, but Bobby, who knew her temper well, was not angry. Okay, Vigus likes a quiet environment, Bobby, you should know it very well. Saul interrupted the conversation between the 2 of them. Cool, Master Chuang Shishan, I'm starting to like you a little bit. Wei Gussie's tone was rarely more cheerful. Saul even felt that Shendu looked at him a lot more kindly. Vigus favorability +10. Okay, let me say it again, you can call me Sir Saul or Lord Shangshan in the future, come with me now to receive the favor. Perhaps it was because of the wave of favors that Wei Gussie had received before. He was the first to lie down on the bed. After receiving the favor, I can stay alone. Certainly. It was reckless to think that Vigus was cooperating with her. The guy just couldn't wait to be alone. Forget it, as long as things develop according to your own plan, the order is not important. Bobby held down the restless ancestor Nar, with two small heads stacked up and down, staring at Soul's operation curiously. Still in the previous step, the sacred text appeared on Wei Gussie's back. A Vagusa. LV1. Strength. I0. Durability. I0. Dexterity. I0. Agility. I0. Magic. I0. A Magica. Chilling Wave Cloud. A Wide Area Attack Magic. A Dark Attribute. A Quick Play Magic. Opening square bracket closing square bracket comma opening square bracket closing square bracket. A Skilla. Shadow. A can control own shadow. Finally. Every once in a while, Vigus will get the blessing of final, and the next magic can make the enemy fear. Apathy. A diffusion of black mist. Vigus can mark the target in the black mist with a twilight mark for 6 seconds. A Vigus's attack can detonate twilight, causing extra damage and reducing the cooldown of final. Chapter 17 Surprise, Blacksmith. Vigus, panel is even more powerful than Saul expected, her skills and magic are impeccable, the original passive is divided into 2 skills. Although the trigger conditions have changed somewhat, it is harmless and even more convenient than before, and it is developing in a good direction. Both spreading and maintaining the black mist require magic power, but the consumption is not large. After completing the steps of adding favors, Wei Gussie put on her cloak again, not even bothering to take a look at her favor data. A posture that will carry through to the end. Rivalia, I remember there is a vacant cabin in the backyard, you take Vigus to settle there first. Previously, Wei Gussie had promised to prepare an empty space for her. He still won't break his promise for such a trivial matter. Rivalia took Vigus away with a complicated expression. Problem children appeared one after another, and each one became more serious. The people of Rivalia are numb, and it seems that there will be no peace in their future life. A Nara. LV1. Strength. I0. Durability. I0. Dexterity. I0. Agility. I0. Magic. I0. A Magica. Na. Closing square bracket. A Wide Area Attack Magic. Shock all nearby targets in a specific direction, and stun enemies who hit the wall. A can be used in the state of Giant Nar. Opening square bracket closing square bracket comma opening square bracket closing square bracket. A Skilla. Rage Gene. A it can only be activated after the anger reaches the limit. A transformed into a giant Nar, the full ability has been greatly increased, and the life has been greatly improved. A in the form of giant Nar, it temporarily has the ability to develop management power. A in the form of giant Nar, it temporarily has the development ability, Jingheling. After sending Vigus away, with the help of Bobby, Saul struggled to add favor to the restless Nar. Nar's skills are different from everyone else's. As soon as he got the favor, the big move appeared, this is the first one. And it throws boomerangs and light jumps and the like are skills and will not be presented in these forms. In a way, Nar seems to be the most versatile hero out there. Didn't this just come directly, the avant-garde of excellent? It's just a little training that is still needed, otherwise Yinner's jumping character may not be able to act as an avant-garde job safely. If the vanguard leaves his position in the middle of the battle, something big will happen then. You are the only one left, but what should this child do? Right now, there is only Bobby who has not added favors, but the situation is not right. Nar was trying to turn his head, trying to see the sign on his back that belonged to the Saul family. Like a cat chasing its own tail, it will not give up until it reaches its goal. Being energetic is good, but being so active in everyday life can be a headache. It's just that with Nar around making trouble, this environment is not suitable for adding favor to Bobby. You have to find someone to control him. Just as Saul was about to go out and pull someone over, Riveria pushed the door open after sending Vigus off. As expected of his capable head of the family, every time he appeared, he grasped the timing just right. What's wrong? Saul's weird smile made Riveria wary. It's always bad when my Lord God laughs like that. What kind of bad idea are you thinking? Please take care of Nar first, I will give Bobby some favors. I see. By the way, I will trouble you to teach Nar how to read when you have time. This child has been frozen for a long time, and he is a little out of touch with modern civilization. Quote question mark question mark question mark quote. Literacy. Do you push everything on yourself? She really didn't let herself be idle for a moment. When she came back just now, she was still thinking about how to improve Wei Gussie's autistic personality. As a result, another troublesome job was added. It's a good thing to have newcomers joining the family, but the pressure on my shoulders has suddenly increased a lot. He patted his forehead lightly, and pulled Nar, who was still struggling with his back, to his side. This child is simply a small beast, both in size and appearance. The Yordles are a strange race. Maybe it's the breath of elves. Beside Riveria, Nar gradually became quiet. Saul was finally able to add favors to Poppy with peace of mind. A. Babia. LV1. Strength. I0. Durability. I0. Dexterity. I0. Agility. I0. Magic. I0. A Magica. Firm demeanor. A wide area defense magic. Interrupts all nearby dashes and increases movement speed. Opening square bracket closing square bracket comma opening square bracket closing square bracket. A Skilla. Steel Ambassador. A if conditions permit, special equipment can be manufactured. A increased forging power. If the favor data of Vigus and Nar are still reasonable, then Poppy's panel is really a surprise. You must know that the blacksmiths of the entire Orario are almost monopolized by Hephaestus and Guberniu, and the other families can only get some low-level blacksmiths. Expecting them to create powerful weaponry is a pipe dream. This kid is actually a blacksmith, so it was introduced in the background story. This is the gold content of Steel Ambassadors. Moreover, this special equipment should not refer to Roland's equipment. This guess was very likely, and Saul felt his heart beat faster. I thought that there was no hope of having an excellent blacksmith before Orn was created, but I didn't expect that it would take no effort at all. The Yordles are truly a versatile race. My real name, Saul, gave you a thumbs up. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Chapter 18 Dragon God and Creator God. Saul was in a good mood to get 3 excellent family members in one go. Even the gloom of being attacked by the dark faction last night at the family residence was relieved a lot. All suffering is for the character saved at this moment. As for the matter of accusing the parallel consciousness of using up the number of summons at the beginning. For the sake of Bobby and the others being so excellent, just forgive this ignorant juxtaposition consciousness generously. Recently, Olili's situation is not very good. Their 3 children will register with the guild after the matter is over. Saul told Riveria. At this moment, Vigus was the one who reassured him the most. After all, this bad Bobby would never take the initiative to go out. Bobby can slowly temper his forging skills. In the final analysis, Nar seems to be the one who needs to be disciplined the most. Just let Riveria teach him how to speak during these few days. You can't just blah 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 every day, no one can understand what he wants to express. After taking the 2 Yordles out of the lounge, Thor handed over the task of leading the newcomers to Lulu. Although Lulu has not been here for a long time, she is just getting acquainted with the family residence for the time being. As Yordles, Lulu and Bobby knew each other. It is much more convenient to communicate. For a while, only Saul and Riveria were left in the yard. Now can we talk about the god of creation? Riveria asked curiously, taking advantage of the fact that there were no outsiders. This question has been in my mind for a while. She is really curious. Literally, I created a new world. In a way that the other party can understand, Saul introduced Roland to Riveria carelessly. He wasn't prepared to hide it from Riveria in the first place. In the future, he will summon more heroes, and it would be unreasonable not to communicate with the head of the family. What's more, he is not a common traverser. He's Aurelion Saul, cast star dragon king. Born to stand at the top of the world. Create the world. Is this kind of thing possible? After finally digesting what Saul said, Riveria's eyes widened. Isn't the god of my own family lazy at home every day? When did he do such a big thing behind his back? Even if Riveria believes in the power of her own god, isn't creating the world a bit too outrageous? Aren't you the dragon god? Ah. Well, the dragon god and the creator god don't conflict, right? But creating a world or something is really unheard of. Actually, it's not as difficult as you think. It just opened up a different space, which took me a long time. It will take at least tens of thousands of years for that world to develop to the level of Orario. Saul was very calm, but this didn't fool Riveria. Even if it is to open up a different space, it is already outrageous. So, the Yordles you mentioned are the race of that new world. Yes, the purpose of my initial creation of the new world was to train excellent children to enrich the power of the family. That's really amazing. I really misunderstood Sir Saul. I originally thought that he was more of a mascot, but I didn't expect to do such a great job in a sneaky way. This is no more reliable than those gods. I'm so sorry for calling you unreliable before. But, it's okay for you to use divine power. If you are discovered, you will be punished by the guild. I didn't use my divine power. Even if I was discovered, it would have nothing to do with Saul. What is the difference between your explanation and that of Zhou Shuren and Lu Xuan? Fortunately, I observed for 4 weeks before asking the question, and did not let others know the news. This secret can't be told to other people. Don't worry, Riveria, you are the first person in this world to know my secret, remember to keep it secret. Saul pinched Riveria's chin with a smile, and gently lifted that delicate little face. The elf princess blushed instantly. Mingming talked about things again, and even took advantage of this time to sneak attack on me. Too foul. The atmosphere between the two gradually warmed up, but under the bright sky, Riveria's biggest breakthrough was to allow Saul to take advantage of her. Chuang Shishan, who wanted to make more progress, was kicked out of the bed, and the prey that was almost at hand fled away. Disappointed, she returned to the hall. Riveria, who had run out earlier, was discussing something with her companions. At this time, she has returned to her usual capable appearance, and the appearance of berating Fangchu is fascinating. Saul leaned over curiously, and sat down next to the other party. You came just in time, let's listen together. Riveria glanced at Saul, but didn't say anything more. How's the situation outside? Saul put away his joking thoughts, and gradually became serious. Not too good, the attack of the dark faction was sudden. The elf who reported the news shook his head heavily. Although in the middle of the night last night, the actions against the dark faction had become much stronger. However, several main gods were still sent back to the heavens. Sol's residence was relatively stable in the middle of the night. There were only a few guys who wanted to fish in troubled waters, and they were shot dead by the guards before they could enter the family residence. Those small and medium family members may not be so lucky. Chapter 19 Saul who took advantage of the fire. In fact, it wasn't until noon that the turmoil organized by the dark faction gradually subsided. The door of the Thor family was also knocked shortly after that. The person who came to deliver the letter was Rahul from the Loki family, the future extraordinary husband, and he is still a newcomer at LV1. The other party looked very anxious, and didn't even intend to enter the family's residence for a sit-down. After passing on Finn's words, he hurried to the next family. Master Thor, Lord Loki invited us to the Twilight Pavilion. Well, call Riveria and bring that prisoner with me, I'll have to make a good knock from Loki's hands. In order to prevent the dark faction from returning another carbine, Saul only planned to take Riveria to the Twilight Pavilion alone. My family's resident family has the family property that, Tuntun Rat, Saul has accumulated over the years. If this house is stolen, it will really suffer a heavy loss. Everyone except Riveria stayed behind to guard the house. Before you come back, thank you behind closed doors. When they came to the Twilight Mansion of the Loki family, the situation here was much better than that of the Saul family. It's just that the wall and the outside of the family have been damaged a little, which seems to be traces of being bombarded by magic. These guys from the dark faction are really bullying the weak and afraid of the strong, it's because they didn't try their best to the Loki family. As soon as they entered the living room, they were the first ones to come. Loki was sitting cross-legged on the sofa, his squinting eyes almost wrinkled together. Yo Loki. Thor reached out and patted Loki's head hard. Hissa a Saul, you're still alive. Loki grinned and rubbed the back of his head. Who do you think I am? Just relying on those miscellaneous fish to take my life, what a joke. Which unlucky guy is that beam of light that appeared in your family? You said that, that's the beam of light sent back by that fellow Apat. Saul sat down opposite Loki with a big grin, without stopping at all. That idiot brought his elf soldiers and broke into my house directly. What the FK, I've lost out this time. Elf soldiers. Sir Saul, have you already eliminated all those elf soldiers? Finn's originally frowning brows suddenly relaxed, ignoring that his god was chatting with Saul, his expression was excited asked aloud. Those are 12 LV5 elf soldiers, no matter where they are placed, they are a force that cannot be ignored. Just before Thor and the others came, Finn and Loki were still discussing how to deal with the elf soldiers of the Apat family. I also brought you two as gifts, and I gave them to your family members when I first entered the door. After hearing Thor's confession, even Loki's squinted eyes revealed a gleam. This guy Saul seems to have hidden his hand. No matter how strong Riveria is, can she really deal with 12 LV5s? What a joke. Unless she's the second Althea. Otherwise, her level is definitely not as simple as LV5. The soaring fire last night fell into the eyes of many people. That doesn't look like the magic that LV5 can use. No matter what, I'm bleeding a lot this time. Loki, you have to make it up to me. Hey. Why? It's not as who caused the damage. Hearing the compensation, Loki suddenly raised his head and looked at Saul with an absurd expression. Don't think that you can come here to blackmail yourself just because you have dealt with the elf soldiers of the Apat family. I was still having a headache on how to deal with the problems of those dark factions, but you actually asked me to make up for it. No more faces. If you hadn't invited me to participate in the plan to crusade against Erebus, my family would not have become the target of those guys. Do you think you should compensate me for the loss? Saul, you're so shameless. It's obvious that we agreed in advance to join the action. I know you're in a hurry, but don't be in a hurry. Seeing Loki's impatient reaction, Saul's tone became calmer. What we said at the beginning was to deal with the Erebus family together, right? It's just an unwarranted disaster brought about by our agreement with you. Why do you think your family got through last night so easily? Quote. Can't you see the big pits outside the Twilight Pavilion? What is ease? That's it. Guess what would have happened if I hadn't sent Apat back last night? Saul glanced at the other party, but Loki couldn't refute. She didn't know how serious Olari's loss was last night. So many gods were sent back to the heavens, and their families suffered a devastating blow. That's why, this time I just blocked you. If there is no compensation, we shouldn't need to do anything in the next action. Seeing that Loki did not refute, Saul immediately struck while the iron was hot. As for the matter of returning Apat, even if he doesn't continue to participate in the battle in the future, his credit will not be less. After all, these are 12 LV5 elf soldiers, enough to make contributions. Master Saul, you really helped a lot last night. How about it, after the incident is over, the guild will give you another 10% of the compensation. Finn stopped his own god who was about to go berserk, and took the initiative to give Saul some benefits. It can be seen that if Saul does not agree, he will really leave. With the ability to deal with 12 LV5 Riverias, Finn had to re-examine the opponent. With her help, the success rate of this operation will be more guaranteed. Look, Loki, your child is much more generous than you. I thought it would take a lot of talking, but I didn't expect Finn to agree so readily. It even made Saul feel that he wanted less. Could it be that the guild's compensation is extremely low? But forget it, I just tried it casually, and if I get something, I just accept it. At this moment, the door of the Twilight Pavilion opened again. There were a lot of people coming in this time, and each god had a few more family members to protect them. The raid that happened last night had a great psychological shadow on them. Damn Erebus. You must give him a good lesson. That guy is really too much, I can't swallow this breath. The number of dead is still increasing, and those guys have no intention of stopping. We must start fighting back immediately. We can't wait any longer. As soon as he entered the door, the gods chirped and condemned Erebus' atrocities. Seeing their righteous indignation, there was no intention of stopping for a while. As the host, Rocky took the initiative to take over the topic. Chapter 20 Gold Rush. You should all know what happened last night. The question now is how to deal with this mess. Shouldn't the top priority be to deal with the Erebus family first? That Hun Dan dared to lift the table, he must be punished. That's right, Erebus must pay the price for my child's enmity. After a male god got up to express his position, the rest of the people followed suit. But judging by their furious looks, the loss they suffered last night must not be small. The other gods in the room tacitly did not tease, and the serious atmosphere made them lose their mind to play. Those who can be invited by Loki are those who have the heart to crusade against the Erebus family. The loss last night is more like a fuse. The alliance, which was still somewhat disunited, was forced to choose a united front. Strictly speaking, Loki has to thank Erebus for helping her reduce a lot of troubles in integrating combat power. Since this is the case, let's speed up our actions. No one knows what those guys will do if we drag it on. The smile in the corner of Loki's eyes could hardly be hidden. But she usually has this half-smile expression, and the other Shendu don't pay much attention to it. In just one night, 9 powerful family master gods were sent back to the heavens directly. This time the attack put the other main gods at risk, and members of the family did not dare to leave their own main gods. They are all afraid of being stolen by the unreasonable dark faction. Those tumors must be removed as soon as possible, so that they can live in peace and stability. The losses of the dark faction are equally serious right now, and now is the opportunity to fight back. Don't let the children's sacrifice be in vain. I have no opinion. Agree. G Erebus. The atmosphere in the Twilight Pavilion became hot again, and the dissatisfaction with Erebus made these gods explode with infinite energy. After making the preliminary plan, seeing that Loki had no intention of keeping them for dinner, Saul led his members out of the Twilight Pavilion with great insight. But Riveria soon noticed something strange. Where are we going? This does not seem to be the way home. Saul put his hands in his pockets and walked leisurely in front. Didn't several unlucky ones be sent back to the heavens last night? Let's go and receive their inheritance. Saying that, Saul had an expectant smile on his face. The families of those unlucky ones are all at a medium level, and there must be a lot of savings in the family. Even if those savings were plundered by the hyenas of the dark faction, there are still people. Excellent children are also precious wealth. With the main god being sent back to the heaven, the favors of those family members have all become sealed. Now they can join other families at will. There should be a few advanced adventurers among them, and he plans to expand the number of members of his family if he has a good eye. It is believed that these adventurers who have just been attacked will need a protection. I can also provide the service of revenge for their main god. Serve multiple purposes. Riveria had to admit that her god's calculation was very clever. Had he been in this predicament, he would most likely agree to Sol's invitation. While thinking about it, the group of people has arrived at the area provided by the guild for the victims. Not only the remnants of a few families, but also many poor people affected by the dark faction. There are many tents set up in this area, and most of the people look listless. The battle last night seemed to have destroyed their spirits. This kind of person can't join my family. Saul patted his forehead helplessly. Things were worse here than he'd like. Or, he came to the wrong place. Not to mention the cadres of those family members, the people who kept them had the word, dragon, written on their faces. There were hardly any faces that Thor could name. As long as they can show a little unwillingness or want to work hard, Saul feels that they can still be saved. Or is it that people who are not content with the status quo will just wait for the guild's arrangement in the refugee den? Master Saul, over there. Riveria beside her suddenly pulled Rathor's sleeve, speaking in a voice that only 2 people could hear. Following the gaze of the other party, Thor noticed half a face exposed behind a tent. It's a pity that the other party seemed to have noticed his gaze, and he shrank back before Saul could see clearly. However, the iconic pointed ears should be elves. Go and see. Even if she gave up the throne, she was still willing to do what she could do when she saw her family suffer. Saul naturally wouldn't go against his baby's wishes, he was here to recruit people. It seems that this trip is not completely in vain. Riveria walked quickly to the tent, and soon found 2 elves curled up in the corner. It seems that they are still children, and they should also be sisters. You two, are you okay? Slowly knelt down and asked in a gentle tone. The two female elves obviously recognized Riveria, and they were a little cautious in front of her. Don't be afraid. What's your name? Which family are you from? My name is Veronica, and this is my younger sister Liate. I just arrived in Alari, and I haven't had time to find a suitable family member. Veronica's thinking was very clear, and her introduction was equally straightforward. That means you haven't joined the family yet, right? That's right. Veronica's eyes sparkled, while Liat showed a small look of expectation. Then, why don't you come to the Saul family? Riveria smiled gently and sent out the invitation. Compared to Veronica, Liat as a younger sister is much shyer. Still, they all look like good kids. This time it was the right time to follow Lord Soul's order to recruit people. Maybe it was a real treasure. We can really be in the same family as Lord Riveria. Thank you for watching. Continue exploring the fascinating world of Chinese novels with us. Hit that subscribe button on Chinese Novel Audiobook to stay updated with our latest stories, and never miss out on a great listen.